going on, YouTube? So we've got again the Novation LaunchPad Pro MK3. So I've already done a couple videos on this, but now I'm going to actually start playing it. So I have not seen anybody playing a pad instrument live. So I know that people play them, they play light shows, all different things. But I actually play drums on this, I play bass on this, I play pad instruments on this. And so I'm just going to show how I use it, how we can use the custom modes to make adjustments to effects and volumes without having to switch. And so let's check it out. Okay, so here we go. So we've got our Ableton live set. I'm not actually going to go over the live set itself. I'm just going to show how I'm controlling it with the LaunchPad. If any of you are interested, or maybe in another video, I'll actually go through what my live set actually looks like. But I'm not usually using one of these instruments, not all of them together, but just for the sake of hearing how they sound more in context, I'll probably play them together today. So here's my basic sound. This is my drum set. These are all Ableton sounds, Ableton instruments, and I'm not using anything outside. It's all Ableton effects, and I'm running Ableton Live 10 Suite. So I'm gonna record my first track. This is my drums, and so you know, I kind of got a standard setup with my hats, open hats, kick, snare, tom, crashes, my ride, and up here I have some variations. So we've got a couple China type sounds. We've got our ride bell. We've got a roll if you hold, and we've also got a roll that you can just hit. But we can kind of get some stuff like this with that. So we can do stuff like that. We get so lots of good usable sounds in there. So if you are used to using the LaunchPad Pro MK1, you know, you would kind of do these and then hit the bottom pad. So in these, you actually use this second row of pads to do your record arm and then actually switch to control that. So you can see if I'm select track 1, there's still my drum pads, even though that's not what's armed. My bass sounds are there. So you actually have to select that track to see the setup for that. So if you are savvy to theory, you might see my root notes, and I have a flattened 7th here. So this is actually set for a major, for a minor scale. So I'm just going to shift, go to my note mode, and this is minor, this is major, and so now you can see we've got our major 7ths there. So we could just love the sound of this bass, really fat. This is the cat gut bass in Ableton, and it really sounds great. So next up, I've got this. It's in the grand piano instrument in Ableton Live, and this is actually the pad grand piano, and so it's got a pad sound underneath if you hold, so it kind of sustains. Really sounds good. So that's the, you know, that's kind of some of the main sounds. I do have another pad sound in here. This is the Celestial pad. Also sounds great. So let's just get something going here. I have, this is about 102 beats per minute right now, just over. It was set with the tap, so it's not exact, but let's go back to our bass. Just set a quick groove, and we'll start up our click. We're going to get our session going. We've got an open slot right here, so we're just going to go with it. Oh, let me say real quick, our fixed length, this is so cool. Massively awesome part of the Mark III is this fixed length. This allows me to do what I always imagined doing on a LaunchPad. Just being able, I mean, you see people do it in the Novation videos all the time. They just set something up, they start plugging stuff in, and if you look real quick, they right at the end of their loop, they smack the record button, which is the way you had to do it to set your loop. Then you could quantize and, you know, have a good loop. But it took a lot of practice to get that done. If you come from a drumming background, I think your tendency was to hit record right on the one, and you have to hit it before that one comes up, or you're already too late and your loop length is going to be screwed up. So this allows you to set it beforehand. So if you hit fixed length, and this is 1 bar, 2 bar, right up to 8 bars. So I usually do 2 bar sets just for jamming around. So as soon as this count gets up to 8 count, it's going to loop back around with whatever I put in, and then we can add to it if we want. But it's really makes it fun for jamming. So I'm going to start this transport again. So transport works as play and stop. Again, so useful, game changer for just being able to jam and keeping your hands off the computer. You can see I haven't touched my computer once so far, even though this set was already set up. You know, I haven't had to touch the computer, so it really makes this feel like an instrument, which it is. Okay, so I'm just going to play something in here. I'm going to start the clock. We're going to get our click track on. I'm just going to start something right in this third slot. Quantize that. So that's a nice groove that we can play over. I'm going to record arm, my first track. Now we're going to play drums. Some in. Got an empty track right here in the fourth slot. Sounds good. Gonna quantize that. Turn that bass down a little. Here, let's just look at this volume. Here's another thing. I hope you can, I'm not sure if you can tell in the video, but there's actually levels of brightness, and if you were really using this as a mixer, then you would really see that you wanted some more granularity, only 8 steps going from 1 to 127 would not be a lot. So now you can actually, there's 4 steps on each square. So you can go the first 1, 2, 3, 4 until then it kind of resets back. So that gives you literally 4 times as much control over the volume, which is really awesome. So let's add some piano in here. Go into note mode. A little more volume. That didn't sound good. So lots of fun that you can have there. Lots of fun that you can have there. So another thing that I was running into, especially when I was finger drumming, let's go back to our drums. So in our note mode, I would have this. So I love having a lot of space in the drums, especially when I'm getting on to some slower song. And so even on the LaunchPad Pro MK1, we did have device mode. I worked a lot of different things to mess with device mode and try to make that usable. But even the volumes, I mean, if you're playing and you want to make an adjustment to your volume, you're having to go even real quick, adjust like that. You had to stop playing your groove in order to do it. There was no way to adjust your volume and really keep on what you were doing. Same thing for adjusting effects. You couldn't really do it very subtly. So here's where custom mode come in. And I had tried a lot of different controllers to go along with this. Of course, the push has knobs on it. So I tried the Arturia BeatStep Pro. I tried the Chord Nano Control, which I still have. It's really great. It's really one of the least expensive and one of the ones I ended up enjoying the most. And let's see what else. I actually just sold my M Audio Code 49, which was a great centerpiece. Faders, knobs, keys, XY control, everything. Really, really great controller. But keys isn't my main instrument. It's taking up a big space on my table, and I didn't really have a use for it. I was playing my LaunchPad the most. I was just about to pull the trigger on the MIDI Fighter Twister, and took all my willpower not to buy the Novation circuit mono station when it was half price from Novation. Sorry, I had to catch up on my brain there. I spent a lot of time watching videos on it, and I was just like, I decided not to get it, and just after I had decided not to get it, they announced the Pro Mark III. So I am so glad I didn't do that, not because it's not a great product, but because this is what I really wanted. So just let me show you. Here's my regular drum kit. So if I go into custom mode, so there's 8 different custom modes you can set up. So I happen to have a drum mode set up here. It's exactly, I don't know if you can tell on the video, but I've got kind of a dark purple and then a blue here. And so it's exactly all the same sounds I have for the other. But now what I could put is faders here. And so I've got faders over here that I can mess around with in real time. So I'm still adjusting my setup now that I have this. So this isn't, I actually don't have volume on here right now. I hadn't decided how I was gonna play this. I've actually got this red is actually set as my tap right now. So there you go. I just tapped in my set. So this session, stop that. So I have my tap set up there, and now I've got my reverb here, and I've actually got this set up. You can already tell it's pretty wet. That's the max that it goes, but that's the max that I have it set up. Actually, this is only going from, so this still goes 1 to 127 MIDI, and again, I will show this set sometime if any of you are interested to see the way I've got my effects set up and whatnot. But this is only going up to 30%, so from 0 to 127 doesn't go from 0 to 100 on that knob. From 0 to 127, so meaning max MIDI, for those of you that aren't familiar with MIDI, goes from 0 to 127. So when it's maxed out all the way to the top, it's actually only turning that control up to 30%. So that's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Ableton macro controls. So now I can really easily add my reverb on the fly. So the other thing I've got here, I've got some delay. So I've got my delay amount, and then I've actually got my repeats. So all the way down, I've just got really one, kind of 1.5 repeats there. And it just keeps going up. And the same thing, this isn't going to 100% wet. This is only going up to about 30% as well. So and even if we go back to our session and we play those tracks, again, you see me kind of not being 100% where my fingers are going. See, I can change this in real time. So even if I've got something going, this one you can really have a lot of fun. Help you. We didn't even get into chord mode. Man, I think I've got kind of a Rhodes sound in here. I mean, you can just playing these 3 notes creates a triad, and you can have all your chords right here. Again, for those people that say that this is cheating, I don't know. too bad. If people are making music, man, how much can you care? It's a pretty good sound. And there's a lot of things that you can learn from this. How is this making a triad? And, you know, anyways, don't get hung up on it. You might be able to tell. I'm still working on not getting hung up on it. Hope you've enjoyed this. Looking forward to making some more stuff for you. Looking forward to checking out all this thing can do. And we'll catch you next time.